Hello and welcome, everyone. This is a presentation by the Florida Model Legislature. My name is Caitlin Works Figueroa, and I'm the Associate Program Director. Today I'm going to cover the committee proceedings that we follow at the Florida Model Legislature Conference. We recommend that you review this presentation at least twice and ask any applicable questions before attending the conference. We're going to get started with the committee chairperson and go over a few of their responsibilities. While it is important for each attendee to have an understanding of the rules and procedure, as committee members may call the chair out of order when it is appropriate to do so, it is up to each committee chair to ensure they are prepared to enforce the rules and procedure. Although the secretary or vice chair may handle some of the clerical work and notate which bills pass and fail the committee, it is the responsibility of the chair to deliver these reports to chamber leaders. At the Florida Model Legislature, we use forms that we call bill jackets, on which final votes should be notated and amendments should be stapled. These bill jackets will remain with the master copy of each respective bill through the committee meetings and chamber sessions, with all amendments and decisions attached. Therefore, it is very important that the committee chairs are responsible when handling them. It is also important that the committee chairs remain unbiased. A chair may pass their gavel to the secretary or vice chair if they wish to debate, but they must do so before the bill is introduced and remain as a participant until the final vote is had and the committee finds the bill favorable or unfavorable. The secretary is no less important. The secretary may also be called the vice chair, and each chair can select any member of their committee to act as the secretary. The secretary does not need to take detailed minutes of each meeting, which would typically include distinct points of debate. What is important for the secretary to do is keep track of all amendments, notate the pass-fail margin of each bill, and typically keep a timer visible for the chair to track how much time is left for each speaker. This individual is still an active member allowed to participate in debate, submit amendments, and vote. Bills are typically heard first in committee. Once bills are submitted online, we begin to assign them to a committee. Prior to the beginning of each committee session, the chair should ensure that each bill on their committee docket has a sponsor to speak on its behalf in that committee. The chair can either ask for volunteers or assign bills to committee members at their discretion. Throughout the committee process, bills are debated, amended, and voted on. At the end of each committee session, bills that have received a favorable passage during that session should be ranked, and this ranking should be communicated to the chamber leadership as soon as possible. This video is going to run through exactly where on our website you can find the long-form rules of procedure. It's very important to not only know how to find these rules of procedure, but to be somewhat familiar with them before attending the conference, and specifically before attending your first committee session. The rules that are specific to the committees can be found starting on page 9. Each attendee will have this committee matrix available in their printed conference material. Let's walk through each step to gain a deeper understanding. Starting with the top left box, all bills submitted at the conference go through their first reading upon being assigned to the appropriate committee. Next, as you will find in the long-form rules of procedure, each bill sponsor will have the opportunity to present for no more than 2 minutes. Most attendees will sponsor at least one bill, and they should be prepared to present in their committee. Looking at the public comment box, it is important to understand that not all attendees will be in the committee sessions at the same time. Therefore, everyone will have the opportunity to sit in on other committee sessions and advocate for bills during the appropriate public comment time. You may submit various bills prior to the conference, and not all of these bills are guaranteed to end up in your committee. Additionally, your party may select specific legislation to focus on as a priority. These are excellent reasons to participate in the public comment section. If you are not sitting in on a committee session, you should either be lobbying votes among members also not in committee or developing policy. Under no circumstances should attendees leave the conference area or return to their rooms. The debate and markup time refers to when members debate each bill. The rule states that each bill shall be debated for no more than 3 minutes during committee time. The amendment portion is vital during the committee process. In the Florida Legislature, most amendments occur during committee time. If committee members do not like a certain bill, they are encouraged to amend rather than simply killing the bill. Amendments must always be submitted to the Secretary or Vice Chair in writing and on the appropriate amendment form, which we will see later in the presentation. Also, as shown, amendments can be offered at any point in time after the bill is introduced. It is highly recommended that you come to the committee meetings prepared with amendments to offer. Next, voting always occurs on the amendment before the main bill. Then each bill sponsor is offered 1 minute to close. This is where the final arguments are presented. Looking at the box below, when you divide the motion, you are deciding to vote on the final passage of the bill and the final passage of the amendment separately. In the bottom right box, we see the option to table or call the previous question. To table a bill, members must specifically state until what time the bill will be placed on the table. For example, a member can say, "I move to table all bills until our next meeting," if the session is running low on time. Or they can say, "I move to table this bill indefinitely," if they wish to kill the bill. To call the previous question is to ask for an immediate vote on the bill currently being discussed. Any amendments submitted but not yet voted on will die if the motion to call the previous question passes, and the motion requires a 2/3 majority. Next, the final vote on the main motion is had. Finally, the markup report refers to the previously mentioned bill jacket. This report goes from the committee to the chamber leaders, who type up any amendments and prepare the bills for the chamber sessions. We will now review a committee session that follows the process you will see at the Florida Model Legislature. It may be helpful to follow along in the long-form Rules of Procedure PDF, Appendix 1, Procedure of Committee Sessions, which was shown in the previous video and is on page 9. The chair will always call the meeting to order and ask the secretary to take roll and establish quorum. Quorum will be established based on the members present in the room, not based on any roster given to the chair or secretary. When announcing quorum, the secretary needs to announce how many members of the committee are present, what a simple majority vote requires, and what a 2/3 majority vote requires. The chair should make a note of this to easily refer to later if needed. The chair will then ask that the secretary reads the bill docket, which should be organized by the chamber leader prior to committee session, so that the committee is aware of the chamber's priorities. A consent calendar is a list of committee bills in order that the committee will address them. The chair asks for a motion regarding the consent calendar because the only way to establish this list is through a motion by a committee member, which must be seconded and receive a majority vote. Members must seek recognition by raising their hand or their name placard. Members cannot simply speak out of turn and should be corrected with a point of order if they do. Follow along as we see the motion for a consent calendar play out. Once the consent calendar is established, the committee will go through the process on the committee process matrix until they have addressed each bill or until they run out of time for their session. Again, each bill sponsor will be recognized for 2 minutes to present their bill. Here we can see HB 5, which is the first on their consent calendar. Look over the bill so that you are familiar with what is being debated. Representative Eagle is presenting the bill as he is the sponsor. The chair will ask for non-debatable technical questions These are self-explanatory, but it is important to not ask questions that can be interpreted beyond yes, no, or facts. Notice that the conversation is moving through the chair. Committee members do not talk directly to one another. The chair will ask all those wishing to speak on the bill who are currently in the audience to form a line. Each audience member is allotted 2 minutes. After audience members are heard, there must be a motion for debate. The chair can simply ask for motions, or they can state that they will entertain a specific motion. This typically signifies that the only motion they will recognize is the one they have explicitly offered to entertain. When a chair states that they will entertain a motion, they are not making that motion. They are asking someone else to make it. This is because the chair of a meeting cannot make or second any motion. If you would like to make the motion a chair is willing to entertain, all you need to say is "so moved," and you are making that motion. Most motions require a second. You can review the short-form rules of procedure for a simple guide to motions. Notice that the chair is repeating what is happening and providing information regarding debate. This is important and should be done by every chair in order to keep all of the committee members on the same page. The chair calls on members to ask why they are seeking recognition, then recognizes them and always tells them how long they are recognized for. Here we see Representative Shaw speaking in favor of the bill. Now Representative Stark will speak in opposition. Notice that this time when Representative Stark is recognized, she is moving to introduce an amendment. This goes back to why it is important for the chair to find out from each member why they are seeking recognition. If he had simply stated you are recognized for 45 seconds, he would have created a situation in which he had to backtrack to address Representative Stark's true motives. The chair will ask the secretary if a written copy of the amendment is on the desk, because this will be the official amendment. Voice amendments are not accepted. Take a look at this amendment. This is what the Florida Model Legislature amendment form looks like. At the top, you will need to specifically state what bill you are amending, and you will need to include your assigned name. The secretary will notate the pass bill section. By reading the instructions, we see that we need to specify what our amendment is doing. Although this amendment is typed, yours will likely be handwritten. You may decide to type your amendment and email it to the secretary of your committee if it is exceedingly long. Take a moment and look over this amendment. Just as the main bill sponsor is given time to present, so is each amendment sponsor. Committee members are then given the opportunity to ask non-debatable technical questions of the amendment sponsor. Again, a motion for debate is required. Once a motion to debate passes by a majority vote, members will have the opportunity to debate the amendments for no more than 2 minutes. Here we can see that the chair is moving straight from debate to a vote on the amendment. Amendment sponsors do not have allotted time to close their amendment. The chair then announces what point during the committee process the committee is currently at. Here we see that they revert back to debate on the main bill. The sponsor of a bill has 1 minute to close during committee sessions. It would be helpful for the sponsor to take notes throughout the debate to be sure they are hitting on all of their major arguments during the closing speech. Here we can see that the chair is taking the opportunity to ask for a roll call vote. The process of addressing bills in committee sessions will continue from the sponsor's opening remarks to a final vote until all bills are addressed or time has expired. Please do not feel like you have to rush through your bills and get them through your committee. Your committee will be assigned enough legislation to fill all committee sessions. But if you rush through your bills, you may run the risk of running out of bills to address in your committee and will therefore have to draft more. At the end of each session, remaining bills should be tabled until the next meeting, and bills that have already passed favorably need to be ranked in order of importance. It will be important for all members, especially the chair, to keep an eye on the clock and understand that at least 5 minutes should be reserved for this process. It is important that you do not go over the allotted time for committee meetings in order for the schedule to run smoothly. The chair will then announce that they are ready to adjourn. In closing, we want to thank you for the time you spent reviewing these committee proceedings. Hopefully you feel more confident than ever in participating in committees at the Florida Model Legislature. Please ask any applicable questions and good luck